The Clone Wars were one of the most brutal conflicts in galactic history, and both the Republic and the Confederacy of Independent Systems contributed to that brutality. While Separatists were responsible for the most gruesome atrocities of the war, the Republic was far from innocent when it came to war crimes. The Republic military was permeated by the cynical outlook that any action to defeat the Confederacy was justified. Many clones held this opinion and were perfectly willing to lay waste to entire planets for the sake of victory. In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 such clone units, the worst of the GAR's psychopathic side.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
First things first, we have the Galactic Marines, otherwise known as the 21st Nova Corps. Led by our least favorite Jedi Master and the extraordinarily harsh Commander Bacara, the Galactic Marines were among the best of the best, known for their extreme dedication and their exceptional skills. They were well known for their refusal to back down in fights against the Confederacy, even when the odds were against them. On New Bornolix, after their experimental weapons malfunctioned, they engaged an army of super battle droids in hand-to-hand combat and won, while on Megiddo, during the longest battle of the war, they fought for extended periods to maintain the siege of one of the Confederacy's most important strongholds. Needless to say, the Galactic Marines were willing to do absolutely anything for the sake of victory. The fact that they were able to maintain the stalemate on Megiddo speaks volumes on its own. That planet was one of the most well-defended worlds in the entire Confederacy, and yet the Republic was able to keep up its assault on the planet for nearly 2 years. This was in no small part due to the Galactic Marines, who fought hard for every sliver of territory that Megiddo's droid defenders tried to reclaim from them. It's not much of a leap alone to say that they would have been willing to totally destroy the planet before they would have retreated from it. Hell, the battle had already destroyed a lot of the planet anyway. This was in no small part due to Commander Bacara, the leader of the Galactic Marines. Bacara, also known as CC-1138, was an absolute hard-ass, known for his efficient leadership and his aggressiveness. He expected nothing less than perfection from his men and never accepted anything short of victory in a battle, no matter what the cost was. If the cost of victory was slaughtering the population of a whole planet, he would have accepted it, without as much as a second thought. In this, he took after Alpha 17, who he had retrained under as part of the ARC Troopers' first class of clone commanders. Alpha himself had repeatedly expressed a willingness to do anything from murder the entire civilian government of Jabim to blow up an entire generation of infant clones, all for the sake of victory. Clearly, he taught at least some of the commanders that went through his program that same mindset. Bacara, in turn, would have impressed this mindset on the Galactic Marines as a whole. Taking inspiration from Alpha 17's program, he put the Galactic Marines through his own form of retraining during the war, shaping them into an efficient, elite force that thought and fought exactly as he did. He micromanaged the unit, transferring out the clones that didn't meet his standards without a second thought. Perfection was the only thing he accepted from his troops, and a willingness to, as he surely would have put it, do what needs to be done certainly would have been part of that. The 91st Mobile Reconnaissance Corps was another elite unit, one of the most frequently deployed corps in the system's Army Alpha. Originally, it was led by Commander Pons, but after Pons' death in 21 BBY, it came under the command of Commander Neo, also known as CC-8826. The 91st served with a number of Jedi generals. Mace Windu, the High General in charge of Systems Army Alpha, took direct command of the unit at times, while at other points it was led by Jedi Masters Adi Gallia and Stas Ali. In terms of methods, the 91st Mobile Reconnaissance Corps was a lot different from the Galactic Marines. As their name implied, they were largely scouts, skilled in the use of light vehicles and hit-and-run tactics. They were also known to be incredibly thorough, and as a result, they were often employed in mop-up campaigns in which they hunted down and wiped out small pockets of separatist resistance. Their most well-known engagement was the Siege of Seleucami, following which Commander Neo and his men scoured the planet for separatist survivors. The 91st might not seem all that bad on the surface, but don't be fooled. After all, WAC-47, the most annoying member of D Squad, was originally assigned to the 91st, so there was clearly something sinister going on behind the scenes over there. In all seriousness, the 91st wasn't all that bad originally. It was the influence of Commander Neo that led them to taking a turn for the worst. As with the Galactic Marines, the 91st was heavily influenced by its commanding officer, and Commander Neo had a heart of stone. Neo was close friends with Commander Bakara and took after him in several respects. He wasn't nearly as much of a hard ass as Bakara was, but he was just as cold-hearted, to the point where even his fellow clones considered him frighteningly emotionless. He spoke little and felt little, and was known mostly for his rather morbid personality. He was generally apathetic when it came to the lives of others, and he would not have hesitated to turn a planet into glass if his higher-ups ordered it. If the need arose, he could undoubtedly have turned the 91st Reconnaissance Corps' trademark thoroughness at hunting down separatists against civilian targets, and there's nothing to suggest that he or his men would have hesitated to do so. But by far, the most brutal unit in the Grand Army of the Republic was Commander Phase. We don't know the exact name for this unit or much of its history, but we can assume from its role in the Siege of Seleucami that it was a corps. Faye, the unit's brutal commanding officer, was extremely by the book, something that was originally tempered by the Jedi General he served with, the legendary tactician Oppo Rancisis. Under Rancisis, Faye and his men had done a lot of good work over the course of the Clone Wars. However, after Rancis's death in the Siege of Seleucami, Faye's unit was put under the command of Quinlan Vos, and from that point forward, things started to sour. Vos hated Faye, and for good reason. Faye only cared about one thing, and one thing only: following his orders. He didn't care about his fellow clones or even himself, much less the lives of civilians. If he was ordered to kill all the children in the galaxy with his bare hands, he not only would have done it, but he also would have become angry and indignant at anyone who tried to tell him he shouldn't be doing it. The rest of his unit wasn't quite as extreme, but they were all by the book and dedicated to their orders as well, and they would have done anything Faye ordered them to do. Vos led Commander Faye's unit in the Battle of Kashyyyk alongside Luminara Undili and the 41st Elite Corps. Faye's men were responsible for reconnaissance before the battle and for leading an attack on the droid army's flank during the battle proper. During the reconnaissance mission, Faye discovered that the Confederacy had set its sights on Kashyyyk because the Wookiees had astrographical charts that would give them an edge in the war. The Wookiees had kept these charts secret from the Republic as well. When he learned this, Faye nearly started a shootout in the Republic Command Center, first by insisting that the Wookiees hand over the charts, and then by threatening to arrest Wookiee leaders for treason. When Order 66 came through, Faye shot Luminara Undili at point-blank range and then ordered one of his tanks to fire on Vos. Vos, however, survived. Faye was enraged when he learnt this, as it meant that he hadn't actually carried out his orders, and he sent whole platoons of his men into Kashyyyk's deadly jungles to hunt for him. When his men failed, Faye resorted to more desperate measures to lure Vos out. He lured Vos to his location and then threatened to call an airstrike on his location if Vos didn't surrender, which would have killed him, Vos, and an entire Wookiee village nearby. We don't just think that Faye and his men would have been willing to slaughter civilians, we know that they were. They came incredibly close to blowing up a whole village, and that wasn't even to win a battle, it was to kill one man. If Vos hadn't leapt out of the trees and carved out Faye's sad excuse for a heart with his lightsaber, a whole lot of Wookiees would have died. Faye and the troops under his command were examples of the absolute worst of the Grand Army of the Republic, living proof that following orders doesn't necessarily put you in the right. So, those were the three most psychopathic clone corps in the Grand Army of the Republic. But what do you think? Are there any other clone units you'd like us to take a look at? Let us know in the comment section below. And just before you head off, guys, make sure you check out our new channel called The Braved, where we go deep into history and check out all the different eras and find the biggest badasses in all of them and make them into high quality videos. So if that sounds like it tickles your fancy, it's the first link in the description below. And if you just want to listen to some music, guys, check out our Relax Jack music channel. And if you want access to a behind the scenes Discord where you can chat to myself and the team who make these videos, do consider donating to the Patreon. And lastly, if you want to join our wider community, check us out on our main Geetsly's Discord and our Geetsly's Gaming Network. All links are in the description below. Anyways, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.